my way of thinking. It's
Mhm.
always Africa is at the center of it. So when I started actually with the film distribution, I ventured to Africa.
Mhm.
So I did, that was maybe 10 years ago or a little bit
Mhm.
more. So I actually did the distribution part of it in Senegal. I went there, worked professionally in Senegal in film distribution with the same company, just expanding our reach into Africa because when I joined, the African continent wasn't given significant value as it is today, right? In terms of revenue. And when I saw it, I said, no, it doesn't make any sense. Africa is not just South Africa. And that's how it was actually, we looked at it mostly in terms of distribution to Africa. It was
Yes.
North Africa, which we call MENA, Middle East, North Africa.
Okay.
And then you have South Africa, getting the content rights almost for all of Africa.
Mhm.
So you looked at countries like Senegal, Nigeria, individual countries like Kenya, Tanzania.
Yes. Yes.
All these places were not really represented
Mhm.
in the media sector, as far as content distribution went.
Mhm.
So I decided to, venture out and started working from Africa. And I worked from Senegal for about 2 years, and Cape Verde also for about 2 years. So
Mm.
I did that in the past. It was actually rewarding at some point. Even in terms of market revenue stream that we brought to the company, at some point Africa was the largest.
Whoa.
Exactly. So we ended up going there and proving that Africa actually
Whoa.
is a
That's
viable
fascinating.
market to be in. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Wow, Sandro, that's fascinating. And wow, see, another surprise. So I didn't know that was possible. So that just tells you when we talk about the continent, there's we're talking about just the film industry, but you touch on other topics. Like other people that I talk to will say surprising things like that, just to
Yeah.
tell you how untapped Africa is.
Yes.
Because when it comes to the film industry, I didn't think so. That just tells you, like there's a lot of places that are mature or getting to maturity as far as like just, if you talk about distribution and stuff.
Right.
Africa is just so untapped in so many ways.
Yes.
Something like this is clear proof, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Have you seen the farming opportunity, the agricultural side of just, Africa, and how there's so much there that people are demanding, but the supply is not actually met?
Of course, of
Yes,
course.
I knew
Um,
it.
in general, like you rightly said, colonization, yes, it's happened. Robbery, it's happened, but we
Mhm.
still have enough. There's still a lot more left
Right,
that nobody can take or hasn't even taken yet.
right.
And as soon as we take control,
Take
agriculture,
control.
access to fertile land, that's gold. Using
Yes.
the land is left, people are shifting into the cities because they don't see the value of that fertile land. But then also, like you said, the storage facilities, the transportation, the channels for selling the stuff
Mm,
when it's done. So
mm.
everything goes hand in hand. And when someone, we see many cases where people have tons of waste because they've had a really good harvest and it's stuck. It's stuck.
Yes,
There's no
yes,
channel to export,
yes,
and they're importing the same
yes.
thing that they could have grown. So, but this is agriculture is another
It's another
big
beast to talk
beast.
about. Yes,
So
yes,
this
yes,
is, but
yes.
that is, it could stabilize each country, could feed its
Mm.
own, feed itself, less foreign exchange needed, less, it's more export, more foreign exchange. It's
It's endless.
I think what people need to look at in Africa is growing. With the age of internet, we're getting a lot more talented people show their faces online,
Yes,
and then you have to jump on the back of successful people,
yes,
true, tested, and tried successful people that have done it, and make your money through them. And one of the things I
wow,
wish I took part in that I wasn't able to fully was
yes, yes.
We knew a lady that
Yes.
was started. She started 3 microfinance companies for other people, but she helped run the entire thing from start to finish. And those companies end up
Mm.
being like, one of the biggest one is about $2 billion big in Nigeria. And she started two of them for them. It was not in her name; they just paid her a ton of money to do it, right? And she was looking to set up her microfinance company. And in Nigeria, there's no enough banks, so you need a ton of money to even get into it. Nonetheless,
Right.
at that point, that kind of funds was available, but there was no way I
Yes.
could do anything because I had other plans here. You see, those kind
Right.
of people is who I wish to invest in, and for me, once I clear the
Ah.
plate, that's who I'll be looking to. So that's how I think people need to invest in Africa. You go to your country, you look at who's doing something that is unique, that is a need, and then you
Yes.
invest. Another thing I was thinking about
Yes.
is I'm not sure about other African countries, but Nigeria, there's no real sewage system, right? Now septic is becoming very popular, right? So people having their own in-ground septic system where all the poop they flush in
Yes.
their house goes in a truck
Yes.
comes pumps it out.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm saying
Yeah.
there are a lot
Yes.
of businesses with those trucks. And I'm saying even after you pump those trucks out, you could do a lot of stuff with the waste, right? But a lot of people don't know this and they don't think about it. And there's no real industry in Nigeria that is big enough to do that. And that line of work in Nigeria is seen as a
Of
lower
course.
standard of
Oh
work,
yes. Yes.
right? But
Yes.
it's very high standard because now the need is growing. So Nigeria is having a busting middle class, and they're
Yes.
dying to be serviced, but there's no service system.
Yes. Uh.
And that's what I
Sharif.
think about. So while
Uh.
you're here, you have to find the right people that are already doing that work. But then, do you have the energy to set it up? Like buy a small company that's already doing it, that doesn't even think its company is worth much, which to you
Yes.
is worth a lot, and
Yes.
scale the business.
It-
You know?
you're making it hard to make this an hour conversation. I'm going to sum up some of what you said because you dropped a lot of things here.
Mhm.
Just so listeners know, I'm trying to figure out how us outside the continent can still contribute. You
Mhm.
started with acknowledging how hard it is to work with back home. You even said Africa is not set up to meet up the new age
Yeah,
because infrastructure. You're admitting to the fact that we have all these issues.
yeah.
In saying that, I thought you'll keep pounding how it's impossible. You shifted over to how there's ample opportunity. The
Mhm.
need is there.
Mhm.
Where you mentioned how we can be here, look for somebody who is doing it successfully in
Mhm.
impacting people, in setting up companies, hence the microfinancing company, and invest in that. Where you're not giving, you're not being a humanitarian. You will
Mhm.
gain something from investing in that, but you will impact, back home. You'll be able to help back home
But
whilst you have a return in your investment.
you're also doing it right.
You're doing it.
And George Mason, I was a visa expert for Africa. So how can I bring that expertise and help my own company, right? So we do very well with like if you come to us, we know kind of like your situation and help you navigate the visa process
Mhm.
effectively.
Mhm.
That was one thing that we saw. I saw like people just local people didn't know, and so I had
Yes.
the expertise to do that. So if you have an expertise, right now cloud IT is blowing up. I know
Yes.
Sharif last time talked about the call center. That's
Yes.
something that a lot
Yes.
of people I've met so many people that have talked to it, trying to navigate it. Somebody's gonna crack it because there's no reason why we speak Africa in so many we speak English, sorry,
Yeah.
in
Yes.
so many
Yes.
countries in Africa, but a lot of companies go to India to
Yeah.
do call centers. Why
And
can't we
not
have
have call
them?
center. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Solar. I know people that are
Yes.
working in solar. So trying to like find. I have a friend that works in solar, and then he decided, oh well, I work in solar. Africa obviously has all the sunlight.
Abundance of sun. Yeah.
Yeah, my company. He knows where his
Ah.
company gets the solar panels from. Why not just start your own in Ghana or wherever, right? So finding or identifying a problem or a niche or something that you see like, okay, I don't know. Every country is different. Like
Yes.
Kenya, I've even tried to look into like starting a coffee business one time, which it's not even
Nah,
I
nah,
haven't exited out yet.
nah, nah.
It's gonna come later. But a Kenyan friend of mine was like, I went to Ethiopia and Kenya. I was like, oh wait, coffee. Like why am I like America consumes so much coffee?
Yes.
Why am I not finding a way to export it here? But it's gonna take time. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the advices I can give. Nothing happens overnight. Like literally, man,
Yes.
this
Yes.
business, what 11 years into working education is kind of like when it
Before
even
you.
yeah, but you got to start identify small, start just kind of like finding little things and start small, keep building, making the connection, staying connected. I've been blessed with people that have come in my path. Like African Youth Excellence was something that it was a nonprofit that we had in Worcester. We started in Worcester, and a friend of mine, good friend of mine, who's now in Ghana working with the president's office. We started together, and those kind of things are great connections that you start. You find out you look for people in your network that are doing stuff back home. How do you connect them together? How can you start something? So it's all like literally just starting small and just keeping at it. I think that's the best way to put it. And finding ways, like if you're working in cloud technology, like I'm telling you guys, man, data centers. Giving somebody the idea here. If you can make this work in wherever, like give me 10% of it. But
Yeah.
data
Yeah.
centers,
Yes.
set up a data center in somewhere. Find a company that will host all of this. You know what I mean? Like there's so many ideas. It's just
Yes.
you looking
Yes.
and finding the right opportunity and just keep working at it. It'll definitely grow. And I think one last thing I'll say is
Yes.
don't look at trying to go in to make a lot of money with people there, right? Don't go and take advantage and then become the colonizer, right? You want to go in and have the
Yeah.
mindset that you want to build jobs. Africa right now I believe in like 10, 20 years is going to have the highest number of teenage youth population.
The youngest workforce. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you create jobs where you can get somebody there to work and be able to give them a job and opportunity in itself, and then you help them navigate that. I think that's the advice I can give.
You've dropped nuggets left and right, yeah, including dropping a business idea and actually saying give me 10% if you do it, then you
Yeah,
kept going.
that's something that is a visionary.
Nah,
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to take like an example of business opportunities we have. I was talking about, for example, a city like Kinshasa being 12 million people. At some point, I think by 2021, it was like 17 million people, right? So
12 million. And
17
Kinshasa is
million, Kinshasa. Yeah,
is
that's the capital of DRC on the other side, right?
DRC.
Yeah.
Yes.
So by 2021, it was 17 million people. So when you think about it, right? Let's say you have talking about business opportunities. You have a product, okay?
Yes.
And you capture, let's say, only 1% of the 17 million people, okay? That's about 170,000 people, right? And you have a product, a very simple product like peanuts or something, or whatever. And then considering the fact that people probably live with somewhere around $1 or less a day, right? People live with $1 per day approximately in that area. But let's say we decide to capture like 1% of that. So our product costs like 1 cent. Okay? So out of the 170,000 people, we get $1,700 a day. Okay? And let's say your cost or whatever operating cost and you let's say it's about 80%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So out of the 1,700, about $1,380 will go towards that, and then you stay with about $340 if you want to net it out. Okay.
Daily.
So that's I know it's easy to say, harder done, but that's just an example of the opportunities that we have here. For a product that's going to cost 1 cent, if you have a big market, then there is opportunity. $340 a day for yourself in a country where people live with less than a dollar a day. I think it's opportunity. Maybe I've extrapolated with my example,
No.
but just that's just a general picture. You see what I'm saying?
Let me
So,
stop you there. Let me stop you there
yeah.
from saying maybe no, you actually you are very, very conservative with, because I tried to write the numbers as you talked, right? If you live in Kinshasa right now, where you're talking about 17 million humans,
People, yeah,
and you come up with a product. This is your breakdown. You come up with a product where, forget everybody else, you're just targeting 1%. How
1%.
conservative is that? You're targeting 1% of 17 million people.
Yeah, that's 170,000 people. Yeah,
170,000 people. Now, from that 170,000 people daily in that product that you come up with, you're smart enough to think about, well enough to know, especially if it's a consumable, it's a repeat, if it's repeat customers.
Yeah.
And if you have 170 people buying it, now you're not talking about for $1. You think about a product that is 1 cent. How conservative is that? 1 cent repeat customers to get about 17,000. 1,700.
Yeah. When you reach the 17,000 people, what you get daily is $1,700. Yes.
$1,700. Now, from that $1,700, you're looking at that picture conservatively. You're looking at that picture like 80% of whatever is coming in, you've spent in producing and paying your operators.
Let's go with 90% to be more
even 90%,
conservative. Yes. So
even 90% of it is all going to paying whatever you need to pay to have that product out there, and then you end up with
$170 dollars a day.
$170 a day in Africa.
That's a lot,
man. Once you scale those numbers, or once the blessings of business hit you, and that becomes something you multiply in any sort of way.
Yeah, and I think $170 a day in the US, a lot of people are not getting that.
Oh, you're kidding me? Of course,
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I see what you did there.
So my point. Sorry, Mike.
Yes.
My point was just that it's a land of opportunities.
Potential.
Yeah, potential.
Potential. The fact that it's there.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.